Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Aracell Cruz, content producer at The Americano, the first and only news and politics newsroom by and for Latinas in the US. Today we're really excited to have the talented Latina singer-songwriter Lauren Jauregui with us. She's going to be discussing mental health, which is fitting because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and she's using her music to champion mental health for middle schoolers in the US, particularly communities of color. So we're really excited to have her. Let's see if she's here and ready to join us. Let's see. We're so happy that we got to reschedule this IG Live because she's a big advocate on mental health. So we're super excited to have her here. Hi everyone. Oh, there's so many good people hanging out. Okay, let's see. No. Let's see. Lauren. Hi everyone. A bit. No. Is she here yet? Hi. Hi, Gabby. Oh, thanks for the tip. No, that's not her. Well, we'll wait for her, and I'm really happy that you guys are all here. This is a really important topic, especially for our Latino community, because it's something we don't really discuss that much, and it's great to be bringing awareness to this very important topic. And if you guys have any questions, be sure to give us the or put your questions in the comment box, and if we have time, we'll get to them after the interview. I love that all her fans are here. Thanks for all those tips. Thank you. Let's see. There's one. Nope. Not yet. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I hope she's not too late. Let's see. Oh, we already have questions. We'll wait for those until she joins us. We'll hopefully get to all these important topics. Yes, thank you for bringing all these important topics to us. I'm good. Thank you, Isa. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for your patience. Let's see. No, todavía no. Pretty soon, I hope. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. How are you guys doing today? Thanks for joining us on this Monday. I hope you guys are having a good Monday so far. Yes, it's a very important topic. You know, it's something we don't really talk about in our community, so I'm really excited to hear her thoughts about mental health. Hi, Crystal. Hi, everyone. ¿Dónde está? Thank you for all the questions. I see so many questions coming in, and hopefully we'll get to those. Hi. Hi, Mexi Chica. Thanks for joining us all the way from San Francisco. Let me know where you guys are following us from. That would be great to know. I think she should be joining us soon. From Brazil. Oh my God, that's so cool. Hi, saludos. The Netherlands. Oh my God, that's so great. Colombia, hi. That's amazing. I'm so glad you guys can be with us today. Wow. Belgium. Oh my God. That's so great. Italy. Mexico. So many of you. Oh my God, this is so cool. From Colombia, we are with you. We hope you're doing well over there in Chile. Oh my God. This is so beautiful. Oh, thank you. A ver, there's so many questions already coming in. Lauren, hope you can join us soon. From France, Brazil. Wow, Czech Republic, that's crazy. Brazil, so many. Well, we hope she gets here soon. We hope. Italy, oh wow, Brazil. All right, Lauren, where are you? Your fans are waiting. From the Dominican Republic, wow. We'll try to do a little Spanglish for all of you speaking Spanish right now. So you guys can let me know how, should I wait a little longer for her? Hi everyone, Brazil, wow. Where is Lauren? Well, I'm from California originally, but I'm in St. Louis, Missouri today. So if you guys have any tips on cool places to go, I hope you guys are all vaccinated now. I still don't see her. I'll start with the questions once she arrives, because she's a big advocate on mental health, so I want to get her thoughts and opinions on this. But thanks for letting me know to be a little bit patient. I think she's in California, if I'm not mistaken. I wonder what's the longest someone's ever waited for an IG Live to start. Well, I would call her, but I have to use my phone, so I can't call her. My phone is indisposed at the moment. All right. Maybe I should do this again. Let's see. Oh, I can't give her a call. I think that would be not good. A ver. All right. So yes, please keep sending questions. I see so many. We'll be speaking, yes, how to cope with stress. What helps you the most during stressful and times of anxiety. Yeah, it's all very, very crucial. And we'll be discussing mental health, FYI, throughout this month. So please keep following us. We're going to be just talking to experts and resources, best ways to get mental health access to all of you. All right, let's see. I'll give her a couple more minutes. If not, I'll have to restart this. Well, thank you for, we have a mental health worker here, but we will first make sure we get Lauren on here. Oh, her manager said she's almost here. Someone in the know. Thanks for the tip. Thanks, and thank you all for being patient with us. Let me see all these other questions just so we can sort through them. What advice would you give to students who are mentally exhausted? That's a big one. Hopefully we'll be able to get back into the regular routine of school now that we're all hopefully getting vaccinated and get back into the classroom. All right. Oh, thank you, Crystal. Thank you for hanging in there. Let me see your other questions. Can you discuss mental health in teens and how the schools don't really advocate for them? That's really important too. And I know that Lauren has been working with these students. And here she is. Did she join us, Lauren? There she is.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. I had to wash my hair, and I'm not good with timing. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Let me just turn up my volume. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us about this important topic.
Of course.
I know. Yeah, I know you're a big mental health advocate, and I want to get to all this amazing stuff that you're doing. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about your personal journey with mental health, like why this topic is so important to you.
Well, I mean, I think it should be important to everybody, to be honest, because we are mind, body, and soul as individuals on this planet, and the mind is a very powerful thing. It's a tool that was given to us, but it was also a tool that was kind of infiltrated, by all of the things that we have to experience in this world systemically. And so, yeah, I like to talk about it because I go through it, and everybody goes through it, even if they don't talk about it. So yeah, it's just important to me to remind myself and others that, we are supposed to be in control of our minds. Like, our minds are a tool that we are supposed to use instead of it use us,
Right. And you bring up an important point that at least within the Latino community, mental health isn't something that we talk about a lot. Why do you think that is? Why do you think our community is sort of making this like a taboo subject?
In the Latino community, you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just the result of colonialism and colonization, to be honest. I think it's residual trauma. I think that we don't really talk about how recent the history is of the slave trade and all of the different ways in which Spain's colonization of South America and the Caribbean and all of those places really impacted people, because you weren't really allowed to talk about your mental health when you were a servant or a slave. That wasn't really, nobody really gave a fuck about that. Even as colonizers, the colonizers weren't talking about mental health or the impact of mental health. So I think that mezcla and that years of not acknowledging and just kind of pushing through pain, because for me in my household it was sigue pa'lante, mija, levántate y límpiate y sigue pa'lante. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is still good advice, but at the same time, sometimes I feel like there's room for compassion in our community, for sure. There's room for growth.
Exactly. And speaking of that, so the National Alliance on Mental Illness says that approximately 34% of Latino adults will receive mental health treatment, and compared to the U.S. average, which is 45%. So that's like a big gap. And Latinos don't get mental health treatment because of access to mental health specialists, economic setbacks, language barriers. In your opinion, what could help bridge that gap? What would it take for Latinos to get that the mental health support that they need?
Well, I think conversations, right, is what starts it all. That's why I love what I did with Ad Council, because the Sound It Out initiative is all about talking, having kids talk to their guardians about how they're feeling, having guardians have meaningful conversations with their kids about their mental health, or the kids that they're guardians of, I think that the conversations is where it starts, breaking the taboo within our homes, within ourselves, within our own personal self, you know, because for a long time, I refused to acknowledge what was going on inside of me seriously, because I was like, this isn't, you know, I just need to get over it. I need to get over it. I'm clearly weak if I can't handle this. Because that was kind of the mentality in my household. And not to say that my parents would have wanted that to be the case, but more so they didn't have the tools. They weren't given the tools or even the language to talk about mental health. They weren't given and I think that it starts with shit like this, like people like me talking about stuff in public, and having, you know, other Latinos, Latinx folks who are watching feel seen by these conversations and heard by these conversations and seeking out that help within themselves or within each other and their households, you know? Because I know that I feel like a lot of people are averted to the conversations because mental health for a long time, when you talked about mental health, it implied that you were crazy, right? It implied that you had a disorder that made you unable to function in society, right? And a lot of people, especially women, were written off mentally as mentally insane or incapacitated because they had feelings. You know what I'm saying? Because they were sensitive to all of the crazy shit that's going on. And I think that that's also a really key part that we don't really acknowledge enough, is the effect that state violence has on our mental health. The effect, and that's something that we can't control. You know what I'm saying? It's something that doesn't just end with us talking about it. It's something that leaders have to take initiative with. And I think really it's about, my work has always been about inspiring a new generation, inspiring the new wave of human beings who are coming into this life, into this world, and helping them understand their personal power, the power of their individual freedom of self, like their minds being free, from all the, you know, taboo and yeah, it's important. It's like individually we all gotta want to show up for ourselves, and then we can really start talking collectively, you know.
Right. So you mentioned a little bit about how growing up it was kind of not a thing that was talked about, and how your family didn't have the right tools. When you were younger, were you able to express yourself? How did that part come out, if it did at all?
In terms of what?
In terms of any emotions you were going through, any hardships you were going through, how did that come out, or around your family or friends?
I think that I swallowed a lot of the shit that I was going through growing up. I remember asking one time to go see a therapist, and my mom just kind of being, and this is not a diss to my mom in any kind of way, because she didn't have the tools. This was not something that she understood. This was not something that she had at her disposal to understand, you know? So, but she was just kind of like, you're okay. It's just a breakup, you know, you'll heal, you know? And I think that that's kind of the way we all look at it. You know, you'll heal, you'll be okay. And it's like, yeah, we will. But I think sometimes there has to be space to talk. And luckily, my mom always made a space for me to talk with her. So, like, I was always able to talk through my shit. Not always, but sometimes, you know, because sometimes I just wouldn't talk because I just felt ashamed, or I felt whatever it was that I was feeling about the feelings that I had. And I think, honestly, as I've grown up and been more honest with myself and sought out therapy on my own and understood myself spiritually and reconnected with God, all those kinds of things really shifted my personal approach with mental health. And hopefully me talking about it helps other people do that too, you know?
Right. And you know, the statistics show that for young kids and young adults, they have to address their mental health issues soon rather than later, because by the time they're 14, they've already developed a lot of different issues and struggles. And by the time they're 24, they're already there. So it's sort of like very important to get that mental health treatment now when they're younger.
Yeah, I agree. And I think mental health treatment is like, it's not linear. You know what I'm saying? Like, what works for people isn't necessarily the same. There are people, and sometimes it takes time to find a good therapist that actually resonates with you and your story. Like, don't give up after the first therapist that didn't get it or that made you feel crazy, you know, like, because there are some people in the mental health profession that you know, essentially are projecting their own mental health struggles onto people, and because they were very passionate about that, they got into mental health, but they haven't necessarily healed their own traumas.
Right.
So it's possible to come across people like that in your journey of healing. And also for me, like a huge thing that's helped me heal in my journey, again, is my connection with spirit, my connection with God. Learning to trust and surrender to that higher power has helped me a lot.
That's a good point. So when you, like, for your fans and everyone listening, what do you have, like a guideline of like things to look out for when you're looking for a mental health specialist? Are there criteria that they need to have in order for you to make a connection with them?
I don't know if I'm an expert on that, to be honest, because I haven't found someone like that yet.
Okay.
But I guess what I look for, or what I would look for me personally, I'm a very spiritual person, so I like connecting with healers more than I connect with therapists. But this is just me personally, you know, everybody has their own story, everybody has their own needs. But me personally, I connect better with people who are connected to the spiritual realm. So a lot of my healing has come from that, and understanding of that. Prayer, meditation has helped me a lot. Like meditation is a key element to my mental health. Because for me, and I never used to be able to meditate. So like I understand
It's hard.
and resonate with noisy minds. Like a loud mind is 100% something that I've dealt with my whole life. So, but the practice of meditating, even if I can commit 2 minutes that day or 5 minutes that day, just taking the intentional time and space to quiet my mind and to kind of recalibrate myself as the observer of this life instead of the receiver of this life, that really helps me a lot with compartmentalizing. And then it kind of just clears my mind for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? Like the rest of the day I'm able to observe instead of just react.
Right. So let's talk about this wonderful project you're working with the Sound It Out campaign, because one of the coolest things I thought is bringing this issue to young kids who maybe don't know the words to express themselves. So tell viewers what this campaign's all about.
Yeah, so this beautiful campaign, Sound It Out with Ad Council, is about just fostering communication between guardians and their kids, you know, and having music be a medium through which people can communicate with one another. So like whether that's writing a song or whether that's, you know, singing the music, singing the songs, using art as a form through which we communicate with one another, I think is super important. Like I had a beautiful discussion with this young 13-year-old named Anna, who had actually a beautiful sense of self and like was really sound as far as mentally. But I think that majorly had to do with the relationship that she had with her mom, which we were able to talk through as well, because her mom is like her safe space and, you know, creates an environment where she feels safe to come and talk to and talk through her issues with, you know. And so I think that that's really what it is like a lot of kids just don't feel like a burden. They feel like what they're feeling is invalid. They feel like if they give it to their parent or guardian that they're ungrateful, or that they're you know, causing more pain. Even some people like will think that way, and like they're a nuisance. That's what mental illness will tell you, is that you're worthless and that you don't belong and that no one cares about you and that your problems are seemingly very small compared to others. Like that's what these illnesses tell you over and over again. And so that creates this space of disconnection, and the disconnection is really what I feel prompts these feelings in the first place. Feeling disconnected from yourself, feeling disconnected from the world around you, feeling disconnected from your family or your friends. And a lot of the time you can't really control why you feel that way, because a lot of the times, you know, everyone in this world is acting out their trauma cycles unless they're aware of them, you know. And so a lot of the times we encounter people who trigger us, and their reason for doing that is because they have their own issues that they're not addressing within themselves. So we think it's our fault, and when you think everything is your fault, then that just leads you to a position where you isolate yourself and you don't even ask for the help that you need. So that's something I really love about this initiative, is like encouraging those conversations, those difficult conversations, creating safe spaces for one another within our homes, within our friendships. Right. I think that's the most important thing. That community and connectivity that lack of community and connectivity is what leads to these lies, you know?
Right. And so the song that you created and collaborated with Anna, it's in English and Spanish. It's called Temporary. What was it like to write that song with Anna and like use her story and maybe incorporate your own story into the song?
Yeah, so I mean, Anna and I's conversation was the inspiration for it. So like just the way that I really felt when I was talking to her, this wave, this sense of peace within her. And I, when I was her age, was very chaotic, you know? So, and silently chaotic, not like outwardly chaotic, but just internally, I had a lot going on that I didn't know how to communicate, you know? So that juxtaposition of me having gone through like this tumultuousness and her kind of being in this more peaceful place, and understanding that things are temporary, I think that that was the catalyst for what I was inspired by, was that juxtaposition of there are good days and there are bad days, and neither one of them define what you are. You know, you're the observer, everything is temporary, and as you move through all of your feelings, they will pass. Sometimes when the bad ones come, when the good ones come, we're like, oh my god, yes, like I just want to embrace this and be this all the time, you know? Happiness feels really good, but happiness doesn't last forever, because life is always going to be challenging you to grow. Life is always going to be challenging you to be a better version of yourself than you were today or yesterday, you know? And so with that comes trigger points. With that comes looking at yourself more deeply than you might have wanted to, you know? And so that's what temporary is about. It's just about understanding that you're alive through it all and breathing through it all.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to be okay at the end of it all.
Yeah, and is that the message you want your fans to get across from this song? Like
Yes.
What are you hoping that they take the most from this?
Yeah, I think that the chorus says it all to me. Like, it's all temporary anyway. Nothing ever stays good or bad too long, you know? Like, just especially when you learn to let it go. Because that's my main thing. Like, a lot of the depression and anxiety that I feel, that comes up for me when I'm not looking at how I really feel, when I'm neglecting how I truly feel about something, when I'm not being honest with myself about how something makes me feel, or an environment makes me feel, when I stay places that I don't feel respected or loved in, and choose to stay in those spaces, like trying to change someone else. Like, when you realize that when you learn to let things go and go with the flow and understand that everything passes and everything moves with intention, that's when you start to loosen up a little bit as far as the anxiety goes. Like, my anxiety comes in whenever I feel out of control, when I feel like I don't have the control over what's coming, you know? And often I'm not even honest with myself about that. That's the reason why I'm feeling that way, you know?
Right.
Because I want to be in control. So how the hell can I admit that I'm out of control, you know?
Right.
But my anxiety dissipates majorly when I give it up to God. Like, when I sit with God and I pray. And God can be anything, you know what I'm saying? God is not necessarily linear either. I feel like God is just a reflection of ourselves, you know? And so when you connect with yourself and you connect with God and you talk through this shit, you know, to something that's greater than you, something that's way more powerful than you, that created all of the stuff that you see around you, shit just feels better. You just realize that you're not as lost as you thought you were.
Right. So if you see yourself like when you were a kid, you know, maybe the age that Anna is to today, there's been a huge growth in you. Can you discuss what that journey has been like for you? Like how it's helped you personally and with relationships and with people around you?
Yeah, I mean, from where I was when I was 14, I've definitely shifted a lot. So before I, was famous, lol. When I was 16, I was hit by fame, quote unquote, which is essentially a loss of anonymity, right? And when you lose your anonymity, you all of a sudden have to grow up in front of people who have opinions about your life, that don't know you, that have never met you, that have never said 2 words to you, don't know shit about you, right? So, when I first entered the industry, that shit really fucked me up mentally. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, I was not well. I was constantly anxious. very depressed, very dark internally, but externally I was super performative, and that juxtaposition of that super performativeness with the depth of the despair that I was feeling just fucked me up mentally. You know what I'm saying? It really took me for a ride. And coincidentally, the pandemic was the first time that I had the space and the time. And I know this is a blessing and a privilege, by the way. It was the first time that I had the space and time to really give myself space to heal. Look at all of the things that had come up for me. Look at all of the things that had happened to me, and learn to kind of rewrite these narratives, because I kept getting triggered by the same things. You know what I mean? The same kind of conversations, the same kind of critiques, if something would happen online where everybody started talking shit about me and thinking something about me, I would like lose my mind and spiral, just like trying to control the narrative of who I am and trying to make people see who I really am. That was like a constant thing for me. And this pandemic really just gave me the space to understand that validation cannot come from an outside source. That I cannot be seeking my sense of self and worth from other people, especially people who don't know me, right? So I really, every time that a trigger would come up, I just have to reassess, like, okay, where is this hurt coming from? What is my heart telling me about what needs to be healing right now? What is this belief that these people are projecting onto me? Why do I believe it about myself? And where can I dive in there and give little me some more love, Like, where can I be more compassionate with me? If no one else is going to be compassionate with me, if everybody else wants to hold me to this harsh standard of perfection that I've never made a mistake and I never will, right? If everyone wants to do that to me, then I need to make the space and carve the space out for myself to give myself compassion and to give myself the space to grow and to give myself forgiveness over everything. Because when we go around with this, like, we have like a grudge on ourselves of not being good enough, right?
It's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. And so when you have that grudge and you're holding that grudge on you, you're just projecting that shit onto everyone around you at all times, even if you don't realize it, So all this conflict comes up, and all these people like being a reflection of those things that you haven't healed within yourself, So taking the opportunity to observe, observe and be inquisitive with myself about where those trigger points come from, what those deep-rooted beliefs of like unworthiness and deservability, right? Come from. And all of that, that's not my fault. That's capitalism. That's not my fault. That's colonialism,
Right.
That's not my fault. That is the recurring trauma that we're going through collectively, and that we all need to look at. It's a lot of shadow work, It's a lot of looking at the darker parts of you that aren't pretty and that people aren't going to accept. And loving yourself through that and loving those parts so that you can transmute them and you can transcend them.
Right. So now that we're sort of turning the corner on the pandemic and people are getting vaccinated, they're going back to their life and back to meeting people and seeing people. Now that you've gone through this transformation of more realization during the pandemic, how do you feel now going back to work, back to this, back to that?
I mean, I have strong, clear boundaries about what I need in order to feel happy and safe. I no longer overextend myself. If I don't energetically want to be somewhere, I do not go. And I don't like majorly apologize for it anymore. I just kind of am like, no, thank you. I'm good. Like things like that. Like I used to be like an overgiver. Like I would just give. And I always thought that it was like, oh wow, I'm so selfless, whatever. But really it was my ego who needed to be validated as a giving person, right? Because you can give and be a giving person without having to overextend yourself and losing yourself in that process.
Right.
And I thought that the more I lost myself, the more I meant it, the more loving I was, the more like I was willing to go above and beyond when others weren't. And I would constantly be disappointed by others not meeting me at my level, right? But then I had to realize that I have to have boundaries in order to be able to be pouring from a full cup. Because I love to pour, I love to give, but I had to learn that I can't give from an emptiness. That's not possible.
Yeah. So for someone out there that's going through some really tough times right now, what advice could you give them?
Breathe, baby. I would say take a deep breath. Something that majorly calms me down when I'm having anxiety attacks or bouts of depression. Again, prayer. I know that a lot of people don't understand or care or fuck with religion, and I don't fuck with religion either, so I understand that. But there's something real special about God and our ancestors and the angels that surround us and the light beings that are here that are constantly at our disposal to help us bring more light into our lives. We just gotta ask permission. We gotta ask. We gotta ask them to come through. We gotta ask them to align us, and we gotta ask them to guide us. You know. I think that's major. And breathing. Breathe in through your nose, hold that shit for a couple seconds, and breathe out. And do it over and over again until you feel better. Because oxygen to the brain is important. And a lot of the time when my anxiety comes up, I literally forget to breathe. I literally don't breathe. Like, I sit there and I'm like holding my breath for like minutes at a time. And I'm like, bitch, you're not even underwater. Like, what are you doing? There's oxygen here. Like, take that shit in.
Well, I do appreciate you taking time to speak with us. I don't know if you have time to take some questions from your fans, because there's a lot. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see. What are your tips for finding yourself again?
I mean, I think you got to get to a point where you're sick of your own shit, right? Like that's where I got. I got so sick of my own shit. I got sick and tired of me making excuses as to why I was feeling the way that I was. And I started to implement more self-care. And that sounds easy, but it's not. For me, when I lack confidence, it's usually because I'm not working out. I'm not doing it. I'm not moving my body and moving that stuff and allowing natural endorphins to flood my body, right? And working out doesn't necessarily mean in the gym doing a fucking circuit ab workout. You know what I'm saying? Like, going for a walk with fresh air is enough for me sometimes to help clear my mind and calm me. You know, self-care is the major thing, man. Taking care, eating healthful foods, whatever that means for you, because everybody's different. Literally every body is different. Every single body that exists here needs different things in order to feel okay. So I can't give blanket advice, to be fair, but find the things that work for you. Make a list. Something that helped me a lot was making a list of things that I love doing, right? Like, with no reward at the end of it. Like, just like, what do I love to do? Like, I love reading. I love cooking. I love going for walks. I love being in nature. I love the water. I love, like, things like this. I like writing. I like writing. So making intentional time to complete things that just make me happy. Like, that just make me feel good. And making time for that throughout my day, like intentional time, like even if it's just like an hour, right? And again, the working out and the eating right, it's not just to like look good for other people to judge you, you know what I'm saying? It's about giving your body what it needs in order for it to function at its optimal capacity. And in its optimal capacity, your body doesn't want you to feel anxiety. Your body doesn't want you to feel scared and helpless and sad, you know? Like, in your optimal state, your body wants you to feel embodied. You know, like your spirit is inside of it, and like you love what you're walking around in. It's just hard with all of the different kind of expectations and pressures and societal norms that are a whole bunch of bullshit, to be honest.
So a lot of these questions are kind of similar, and you mentioned breathing and exercising in order to cope with this stuff, but someone's asked, how do you get rid of bad thoughts?
Man, that's hard. Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge that it's hard, right? It's not something that's just, oh, stop thinking about that, you know? Like, a lot of the time, I'm an erotic overthinker, you know? So I will literally sometimes, if I don't check myself, I will sit in a corner of a room and just machinate for hours about all of the things that are so wrong with the world and my life or whatever the fuck, you know? So I think the bad thoughts, man, meditating helps me. listening to frequencies, so like hertz, like different. So there's sound healing is huge for me as well, like crystal bowls or like different kind of hertz. If you look up the chakras are energy centers in our bodies. It comes from Indian tradition, the Hindu tradition, I believe. But basically, it's just energetic points on our body: our crown, our third eye, our throat chakras, our heart chakras, our sacral chakras, our solar plexus, and our roots. So if depending on what I'm feeling, right? What are those thoughts about? Am I incessantly thinking about my body? Am I incessantly thinking about I don't know, like what I need to tell somebody, or a conversation that I am anxious about having to have, right? That specifically would be my throat chakra. So I would look up like hertz in the throat chakra that help to alleviate the throat chakra. And honestly, that stuff really helps me a lot. It calms my nerves down a lot. But also affirmations are good for bad thoughts. Interrupting the bad thoughts while you're having them, being like, hey, I see you, bad thought, and actually you're lying, this is the truth, and replacing that, you know what I'm saying, with an affirmation. Like if I have a thought that's like, you're unworthy because your body doesn't look good enough, right? That, let's say I have those thoughts often. So if that one comes up for me, then I'm like, Lauren, you're beautiful. You have, this body is more than what other people think of you when they look at it. This body is the house of your soul. This body walks you through life. You know what I'm saying? This body has electro currents that keep you alive even if you want it to die. You know what I'm saying? This thing keeps me alive. And so when I kind of like interrupt those thoughts with truths like that, it helps a lot. And also just like mindful practices, like yoga is a beautiful practice where there's a lot of mindfulness, where you have to embody that. You can't be in your head. Doing things where you can't be in your head.
Yeah, I love all this. Thank you so much for joining us. This is really great, and I'm so happy that you got to bring attention to this really important topic.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you guys later. Thank you.